like to turn to Darren Cunningham from Informatica. Darren, you may begin.
Welcome everybody to our webinar today, Powering the Social Enterprise with Cloud Integration. It's exciting to be here with a distinguished set of presenters. Mark Murray from Informatica Cloud, who, if you've been on our monthly webinars, you've seen performing some pretty cool demos. We also have Ernest Lessinger from our partner CloudTrigger, who's going to be going through some of the practices he sees every day at CloudTrigger. And Ernest, why don't I just give you a chance to introduce yourself before we dive into today's agenda.
Great. Thank you, Darren. So my name is Ernest Lessinger. I am CloudTrigger's Chief Technology Officer. CloudTrigger is a Salesforce.com Gold partner. We are also an Informatica partner. And we probably see more than 100 integrations every year. So not necessarily all of them on Informatica, not necessarily all of them with Salesforce, but we certainly have a lot of depth in that area.
Great. Well, thank you here today. So let's dive into the agenda. We're going to go through a little bit of an overview of some of the social enterprise messaging. Some of us recently attended the Cloudforce event in San Francisco and got a whole dose of some great messaging from Salesforce. Wanted to talk about some of the things that CloudTrigger sees, and Ernest will share some of his experiences. And then Mark will be diving into a pretty extensive demonstration of Informatica Cloud in action, really powering the social enterprise. So I mentioned last week we were all in San Francisco, and it's really amazing how the social enterprise messages really come together. Some great customer examples. What was really interesting for me was level of IT representation at the event. CEOs talking about how the cloud is really changing their business and how the business is changing fundamentally to become social. What that means collaborating internally or collaborating externally with customers and partners. So some of those of people who were represented at the event, and we're going to be sponsoring and represented all of the Cloudforces coming up in the next few months. So you can see Informatica, many of those, and often we'll be there with our partners like CloudTrigger. The key message I thought was worth taking a second to highlight. As always, Salesforce likes to talk about a disruption and a big change, a fundamental shift that's happening in the market. And what we're seeing and what they're seeing, I think we're all seeing, is this change in dynamics. Everyone's out there communicating with their friends, with customers. Marketing's really certainly jumped on board on the social enterprise message, but there's often a divide between a company and individuals in that company. The change is really now happening, this transformation for organizations of all sizes to become social. And a strong message, Salesforce likes to talk about the customer social profile, or the social customer profile, and how social enterprise really it extends to what sales is doing, what marketing's doing, what customer service and support, from the platform perspective, how your products are becoming social. So if you haven't attended a Cloudforce, I highly recommend that you attend when it comes to your city. But you can also do a search for it, and you can see Benioff in action, really preaching the message of the social enterprise. So it was also really interesting to me, and a lot of the speakers made these points, is really the core of the social enterprise is not a multi-tenant cloud service, that being Salesforce, but it's also data. You really can't be truly social if you don't have a single view of your customers, of your products, et cetera. So Informatica is really excited about this message because data is what we do. If you're not familiar with Informatica, we're a publicly traded company. We've been in business for 15 years, and we're 100% focused on data integration. Extensive platform for data integration, data quality, and master data management, and some specific cloud integration technologies really optimized for Salesforce and other cloud applications. So data is really a key to the social enterprise. So I thought we'd take a minute to ask a polling question. Good attendance today. It's clearly a hot topic. So I want to ask you all on today's webinar, how many systems are you, if you're running Salesforce or planning to, how many systems are integrating with Salesforce? So you can see the polling question on the right-hand side. Is it a nothing yet? You're just getting going and you haven't really even got your data in, might be still doing a data migration. You have 1 to 3 databases. you have maybe one ERP system, so you're starting to do a back office, front office integration, or you're doing really multiple systems and master data management, and you really are thinking through this holistically. So as you're filling out the question here, we'll wait for the results. I wanted to ask you, Ernest, what do you see as the trend when it comes to customers and how many systems they're integrating? Where do they start? What are some recommendations and insights you might have on that front?
Sure. We are seeing that every customer requires some kind of integration. Typically, there's an upfront migration when a customer moves on to Salesforce, but usually there's some immediate plans for integration, typically a small integration or a simple integration with an ERP system. And then as time goes by, the number of integrations that the customer wants to use or needs to use grows. It typically goes along with the growth of Salesforce. So you initially start with your salespeople, then you might add your service desk, then you might add your partner relationship management system, and so forth, eventually adding other departments, human resources, facility management, IT, and each of these departments adds an additional integration. It's important to plan upfront to make sure that you can handle this growth of integrations. The complexity of each integration increases as you add additional endpoints.
Great. So let's look at the results from this poll. Let's see what we're looking at in terms of today's attendees. So I wonder if Josh can run that poll. And I do want to remind people they can use the chat panel if you have questions as we go along. We're going to try to make this as interactive as we can. Look, one question that has come in, you mentioned multiple tools and options when it comes to integration. Why not use some of the native tools from Salesforce, like the Apex Data Loader? What's your experience with people starting with those and then graduating to more advanced functionality when it comes to integration?
Mind is that it's very easy to start off with a simple integration and maybe use something like the Salesforce Data Loader or use the Salesforce data wizards that are built into the user interface. And those will work in very specific situations. When you have tabular data sources, we don't have or don't expect a lot of error conditions, and we need transactional processing. But additional systems, and particularly as you add real-time requirements, it's absolutely critical to have some kind of a centralized system to perform, if nothing else, data quality and master data management, ideally also to provide some orchestration and scheduling capabilities to track all of the data going into and out of the system, make sure that you are properly handling errors, to make sure that you are properly handling exception conditions, real-time updates, and so forth.
Okay, so let's keep moving. I was hoping that we could see the results of the poll. Looks like we had about a 60% pick option 1, but I'm seeing the overall results for everybody's display. But let's moving. So sounds like a lot of option 1 people, nothing yet, not a lot of data integration. So good message on how this is increasingly important and certainly critical for the social enterprise. So take a minute to introduce Informatica Cloud. On this call might be familiar with Informatica. As I mentioned, really well-established publicly traded company. About 7 years ago, we embarked on a journey to deliver a cloud-based data integration service. And our focus has been and continues to be on simplicity. So really delivering an easy-to-use cloud integration service that you can get up and running literally in minutes. Second is to deliver rapid deployment. So it's really important. One of the tenets of a cloud-based system has to be the ability to try before you can buy. So you can really go to informaticacloud.com, register a trial, and start using it while you're on this webinar. So you follow along with what Mark's doing as he goes through a demonstration. And then the point is that it's unified with our core Informatica platform. So organizations who may be larger organizations who are already running the Informatica platform in-house, they can extend the reach of Informatica really through this unification. And Mark will talk about that, how there's easy sharing between systems. And I'm looking at polling results as I'm mentioning, talking about Informatica Cloud. And it looks like a lot of people are actually didn't answer the question. So we'll revisit polls on future webinars, but still quite a few are not running any integrations today. point I wanted to highlight at Informatica Cloud, we have a lot of Salesforce customers or Salesforce prospects on today's webinar. Informatica Cloud has been recognized 4 years in a row as the #1 data integration solution on the App Exchange. So simply go out to App Exchange if you consider options, then integration, you'll see Informatica, and you'll see reviews, and the volume and quality reviews from our customers is something we're very, very proud of. So just feedback on Informatica, how we are represented in the market in this ecosystem. So you give us an overview of CloudTrigger, a little bit of history, and some of an overview of your focus.
Absolutely. So CloudTrigger has been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 5 or 6 years now. And typically work with businesses from small to medium all the way up to large international corporations. Salesforce.com implementation. So that includes CRM optimization, Service Cloud implementations, complex data migrations, and custom application development. Over the couple of years, we've also added 2 additional products that really speak to our core capabilities. Gmaps, which adds location analytics to the Salesforce platform. And location analytics means is that we're taking Salesforce and we're taking maps beyond simple points on a map, beyond driving directions, beyond what's the nearest service center, to the ability to actually analyze what's happening to your customers over time and over space. So if you can see example there, it's a little bit small, but think about a weather event. So an insurance company trying to track a hailstorm. They might want to see which customers have been affected so that they can track fraud, so that they can process claims faster. They also want to see which customers are about to be affected so that they can either plan to receive a higher call volume or potentially even notify those customers and them to do something like, please get your car out of the driveway so that we don't have to file a claim. Our other is G2 Analytics. And what this really addresses is true cross-platform, cross-Salesforce organization analytics for Salesforce.com, any cloud platform. And what these products really get to is how can you manipulate the data, how can you work with the data to not run simple reports and not just get simple data input, but to get real actionable information out of Salesforce and out of your BI system.
Ernest, it sounds like you guys are really experts in data, all aspects of it, from implementation, professional services, to some of your analytical applications as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We try to focus throughout the organization on making sure that we understand reporting requirements up front, to make sure we understand integration requirements up front. That typically informs how you're going to run your business processes, and it typically informs how you're going to design your Salesforce org.
This example is about the social enterprise and more on the implementation side. Is this a typical example? Can you walk us through that?
Yes, absolutely. So what you're seeing here is kind of an inner circle, or I guess an inner square or diamond, and an outer circle. And typically customers work from the inside out. So what will happen is they start with a sales desk implementation of 10 or 20 Salesforce.com users. And reporting and the data integration for that is fairly simple. So you're going to start off with 20 sales users, and you want to know what their forecasts are, you know how much you've sold, you want to know how your products are doing in the market, and so forth. And you want to report on those. Maybe you do some integrations with ERP so that you can get total customer lifetime spend, maybe customer credit rating, things like that. And then over time, because Salesforce is so flexible and so powerful, we see companies wanting to add the back office. So that things like distribution, they'll add service and support to that core sales process. And it doesn't always start with sales, but you add additional pieces of the company, supply and distribution, back office, human resources, facilities management, IT, added into the system. They have their own integration requirements, their own data requirements, and their own reporting requirements. And then most companies, sooner or later, also want to take the powerful social networking and just data collection and data display capabilities of Salesforce and expose those outside the virtual firewall, I guess I would say. So that expanding Salesforce abilities to your customer network, allow customers to log in and search the knowledge base, allowing customers to log in and host cases, view the status of cases, allowing suppliers to log in and bid on requests or log in and look at your requirements or communicate with you about the status of delivery. Going to manufacturing network, doing inventory tracking and so forth. Distribution, pushing out to not customers, but your partners in the distribution network, doing things like lead registration, forecasting across departments, across distribution channels. All this requires data. It all requires clean data, and it all requires up-to-date data. And as you have more and more of these systems in, it's absolutely critical to make sure that you are doing things like handling errors appropriately. When integration error happens, and they do, even the best integration platform can't handle every possible input. So you need to make sure that errors are handled properly. What happens when somebody puts text into a field where you expected a number? What happens if somebody has a negative credit balance in a field that should not accept a negative credit balance? You'd have bad data loading into the system, so you want to handle that appropriately. And that's where middleware like Informatica can really help. Middleware also helps with multiple data points. The Salesforce SDKs require some development. Salesforce Data Loader integrates well with GC compliant databases that have your data in a tabular format, but not so well with third-party systems that require a business API, thinking about SAP, thinking about NetSuite, thinking about Salesforce itself. You need to integrate appropriately using the right connector to make sure that everything's as reliable as possible. When you're real-time or bidirectional integration, you want integrations to be orchestrated by a middleware system that can properly schedule and properly interleave the different requests so that don't end up with situation or with what we would call a race condition, where you modify data in two systems at the same time, one system overwrites the other system's data, and you really have inconsistent data at that point. Middleware can help you avoid that. And really a specialty of Informatica, quality and data cleansing. And integrate third-party systems into Salesforce, you want to have a common key. Customer are you talking about? And data quality tools and master data management tools help you make sure that when you are talking solely, using the social enterprise, talking about the right thing. You're talking about the right count. You want to have one source of truth and place Salesforce to carry on that conversation so that your conversation and your analytics can be as meaningful as possible.
Right. It's a great overview, and Mark will highlight some of these capabilities in the demonstration. Before that, you got on here about this to engage with CloudTrigger on a 2-hour social enterprise health check. How does it work?
Absolutely. So what you can do is contact us, and we'll set up a go-to meeting with you and essentially take some time to look at your various systems that you want to integrate with Salesforce. We might look at your accounting system. We might look at your ERP system. We might look at your partner relationship management system and examine how are you and your customers communicating. What are you talking about? What data, what structured data do you need in the system to make sure that that social communication and that social network can operate as efficiently as possible, talking about the right things, talking about the right things at the right time, in the right place.
And we'll come back to point people to resources to how to get started with that, how to contact you guys. I think that's a great overview. It's a great setup for Mark. Really take us through Informatica Cloud. I want to remind people, typically when Mark dives into a demo, we start to get lots of questions. So you can use the chat panel if you're watching this today live. This is also going to be available on our YouTube channel. But Mark, I hand it over to you, and you can from here.
All right, thanks, and thanks, Ernest. Good presentation so far. And the desktop. You can see my desktop. Great. So I have two quick slides to go through just to give you the lay of the land of what we're going to see. And I have a couple of very quick demos, and we'll go through each one of them, and we'll do some of the kind of amazing 5-minute demos that will hopefully show you the power of Informatica Cloud. For one, we'll do a quick really chat to tweet. We'll get it from Twitter and then load it into Salesforce. And we'll actually show some real-time syncing from SAP to Salesforce. We'll not sync, we'll actually build it. We'll button, and we'll bring data into Salesforce from our internal systems using a button, just pushing a button. And we'll show syncing a contact that I'll create out into my premise system, right, directly from Salesforce using a trigger. And we'll replicate data out. There are a lot of common use cases that we come across. Flow is we'll create accounts, these and contacts, and then we'll pull all that data out, kind of show you the whole roundabout. But first, we'll take a look at the elegant architecture. So this is like a data flow. You'd set up an Informatica Cloud account by registering at informaticacloud.com, and it'll typically take you 5 to 10 minutes to really set it up and install and configure what you need before you get started. What we'll do today is we'll start in the browser, right, and we'll start from Salesforce. We'll access services, right, different services that will run and we'll build with. So this in the top right is the Informatica Cloud. Right, on the right is Salesforce Cloud. Right, and this could be other clouds, but great ways to show you the data as it comes through. And what's magic that brings everything together is what's called a secure agent, and this sits behind the customer's firewall, safely and performantly and securely transforms and manipulates the data. And our examples today will show data moving from SAP into Salesforce. We'll show from Oracle going into Salesforce, right? And we'll go reverse. We'll take the data away, bring it out of Salesforce into Oracle. And we do this in about, I'd say, a good 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 15 at the most. But we'll do it all from the browser, which is cool. Point out at the top here, there are currently about 190,000 jobs a day running. Customers using Informatica Cloud, and it's well over 22 billion rows a month. So it's probably by far the big mover of data in the cloud space today. And I'll really working with a retail customer, and over the course of pretty much maybe hours, we loaded about 55 million rows of data into Salesforce. Probably less than that. It was some troubleshooting going along the way, but some huge volumes that we can handle. So let's jump to it. I'm going to navigate over to my browser.
Yeah, I was just looking at trust.informaticacloud.com earlier today, and we ran 194,000 integration jobs yesterday. So it's a pretty impressive volume on the job count as well as the records. Oh,
you know what? I actually have. I'll pop that up real quick. Here's the trust site that everybody can go out to. See, 194,000 jobs. So it's growing like the SaaS marketplace is. Just to point here, if you go to informaticacloud.com, you can navigate to the trust site, and you can see all about our security, whatnot, and then you can even log into the cloud app. But start in Salesforce, and I have some chatter going on. The first thing I want to do is actually post a tweet, right? Actually see that pop up in Salesforce in a second. So we're going to go to Twitter. My machine load down, of course. There we go. And I'm going to pin a tweet. And this is somebody on the call today. I just picked a name so you can see this is all real, and I'm going to go tweet it. And as Ernest said, some of the things you want to have are real time. Some of the things are automated. Well, right now in the background, I have a process that runs every 5 or 10 minutes, pulling tweets. Look for anything with @Informatica Cloud, and it's going to load a warehouse internally, so then folks can report off of it. And it's also going to load data in Salesforce, right, and then attach it as a case to a customer. example, I'm doing all this in what's called a task flow, and we'll see in a second. But again, showing you anything in Informatica Cloud, right? This is happening all behind the scenes. And in this case is, if we jump back to Salesforce and we go to our accounts, not loaded yet. So we could say this is our first time loading. And also in the background, I have a time SAP sync going on. So we're going to jump over to my SAP customer, all right, and actually send a customer over from my master. And so background, the plumbing, which is in the cloud, is sitting there listening for this real-time piece of information to come to us.
So you've got a lot going on in the background, but from a user of Salesforce perspective, they have no idea.
They don't care, and that's the whole point, right? It's seamless to them. Fresh. Our customer just came through. There was nobody here before, so now let's take that into Informatica Cloud. So we're going to switch hats. I'm going to put my developer hat on, and one of the cool things about Informatica Cloud is that you can directly integrate it into Salesforce. Right, so you have an integration tab, and users are not going to have this. This will just be my super, right, on my Salesforce administrator. And I opened up the window behind here, and the first thing that I see when I come in is my activity. So you'll notice that it's tab-driven. So it's easy to move around in like Salesforce or apps in general. And you can see here's my chat to tweet running in the background. So every 10 minutes, let me click into this. He's going out and putting Twitter to get add info in it, and then I'm putting it into a data warehouse. I'm loading it into Salesforce as a new contacts, and then I'm associating a case, that tweet, right? So this is a task flow, so I can run multiple tasks in one step, which is let's finish that, and then on the other side. So this is things that have happened in the past, and if I looked at my email account, I've already been notified that my chat to tweet was successful, that down here at Oracle EBS that failed because, something happened. I know already before we get into work. So it's on my BlackBerry, it's on my iPhone, plus there's an application that you can activity log in on a Droid, on an iPad. So pretty neat stuff to actually manage and maintain your environment. But I'm going to get across to my monitor. And you'll see I have my SAP process running in the background. It actually was grabbing rows. We pop back to SAP. Let's send another customer over so we can see this happen in real time. Let's do 2001 to 2005. And that's going to be just listening for more rows to come over. There it goes. Just brought customers. Right, so my user, he just knows that his data is where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there. So pretty neat stuff. Let's go take a look to see if that chat found my tweet yet. So it's run, I think, on a 10-minute schedule. So let's just look for me.
So just to back up a second, because you started with some pretty cool functionality, but what I'm seeing here is you've got an integration tab in Salesforce. Is that pretty common where people will embed this right within their CRM environment or a Salesforce.com environment? How does that work?
I've seen anybody but Informatica make it this flexible. Again, I can sign up for an account and have this done at the same time. So really neat. But again, it's only going to be for me, like as an administrator. It's not going to be for my end users. It's a powerful, simple way for me to create my real work environment, right, to what my end user sees. So it makes work a lot easier. To do my customer, obviously, has his data when he needs it. Let's look into me for a second. So actual customer, right, or contact, and we can take a look. Look, you can see Mike already showed up now. Pretty good. That's just running in the background. Anybody that tweets during our call, I'm gonna pick them up through a task flow. And like I said, what it's doing is multiple. Right, it's pulling the tweet. It's putting it into a local data store for my on-prem guys, and then it's putting it out to the cloud for my end user who might need this when he goes into a client, right? Hey, what are the current problems that we're seeing out there? But it's a nice way to marry everything.
Hey, so Mark, as you go through kind of an overview of how to do some of what you've done, because I'm getting some questions coming in about how was it to make that SAP integration work. I'm getting questions about some of the differentiators for Informatica Cloud versus other tools. Specifically, a question came in about how this might be different than SQL Server and some of the integration tools from Microsoft.
That's a good. We're going to go build. My next step is actually let's go build a task so you can see how easy it is. And we're looking at Informatica Cloud today, just Informatica Cloud only. But the written point to remember is that Informatica has a full-fledged data integration platform that has every kind of thing you could think of, from soup to nuts, in integration. So that secure agent that I showed in the PowerPoint presentation is actually the flagship Informatica technology. So I can integrate and bring in integrations that I've built in what's called PowerCenter, our flagship product, and then run here, and vice versa. So I have marriage, this hybrid approach to integration also. And actually there was another process that just popped up. And it's running something else as we spoke, because this is a multi-user environment, another rule thing, that multiple users working at the same time, all from the same interface. Jump into services. So services are, if you remember my PowerPoint with the Informatica Cloud on the top right, different integration services, and here data synchronization, consolidation, which allows me to validate and correct my addresses, replicating, getting that data out of sales. Assessment, I can actually look at the health welfare, and power, meaning I can pull in integration services and have them deployed in the cloud. Really, really, really neat functionality. But we need to get account data into Salesforce so that my end user can go make and sell our products. So we're going to work our data synchronization tool. We're going to click New, and then I surfaced a 6-step wizard, and we'll call this, let's say, our webinar account load. Right, comments in so I know what I was doing. And then I'm going to select what I'm going to do, and we're going to select a certain option for Salesforce, an upsert, because as Ernst said, we're going to take advantage of keys for enhanced integrate capabilities for data quality purposes. My next is to source that data. Then I have these things called connections. So that picture before that agent, wherever that agent lives, data, I can configure a connection and get to it. And you can find a drop-down list, quick things I've configured to get to Oracle right now. So just into my Oracle. Now across the internet through that agent, I found everything that I'm allowed to see, and we pick account data, and it'll give a preview. And at this point, it could be a view, right? I could joins on it with multiple, or I could do custom, which is SQL pass-through. And if a connection, you get info that we would need. I could lock down so a user can't see it. I turn off the view of the data if I wanted to.
And Mark, let me just bring Ernest in for a question while you're looking at these sources and target.
Surely.
So Ernest, a couple of people at Cloudforce 2 weeks ago talked about SAP. Are you guys seeing increased integration needs for ERP applications? The big kind of classic legacy ERP systems. Are you seeing a growth in demand for NetSuite and cloud-based ERP? What are you seeing as a trend?
We're a growth in demand, particularly around the cloud-based systems. And we're really seeing a large growth in demand, not for necessarily cloud-based ERP, although we're seeing growth in demand for everything, but what we're seeing in particular is requirements for cloud-based systems in general. So things like services like Box.net, service like Zuora, services like Salesforce.com being one of the examples. But API-based systems that Twitter, as an example, that real-time in nature and that are social in nature. We're seeing a lot of those coming down the pipe right now.
Okay, great. And so maybe after you go through this, Mark, you can also show our marketplace, and I think that would be interesting for folks on the webinar. So interrupt your flow. Let's keep it going. No,
that was a great stopping point. You can actually see I just pulled up a Zuora connector. All right, so you guys can see that too. I want to put this into Salesforce. So let's go pick my Salesforce connection. And really simple to create these, right? Test prod, whatever I need to do really easy. And surfaced all the metadata, including any custom object I'm about to see. And we want to pick the account data. A bit of a preview in a sec. This is the data we loaded, right, from SAP. Next, so maybe I just want to get the customers right up from NYC, right? A lead list, whatever. But I can build simple to very complex filters. Rubber meets the road, and we make it super easy for an end user, mapping it and transforming it. So we've run can by matching the fields, and now as an end user or developer, I just drag and drop, state to state, and country to country, really mapping city to city. And I'm faced with the dilemma when I come to my info, street data. I have two on one side and one on the other. Well, I can really take it of transformation logic or functions, just drag and drop, and now that's surfaced about 150 different functions I can start to manipulate and correct my data with, build rules, whatnot. So let's bring one more, our required account name. It's to tell me about the metadata, so I know what I'm working with, I know it's a key, I know it's an external ID. Open up the expression to work on it. I can do a lookup to pull data out of the system, or just simply step on it, and we'll open it up. And this is my expression editor with all the functions. So let's do a quick, this will be our now that's ugly, right? And I've this many times come into play where data's going in. You know, they're simple, but it looks ugly to an end user. Well, the coolest function. So if it's my all functions, and I pick, well, I'll pick my character folder, and what I want is what's called a knit cap. Now I have the standard upper, lower, whatnot, you know, trim, L trim, R trim, but this cool called a knit cap will take everything and put it in proper case, capital C, capital I, lowercase everything else, and make it look uniform. So we're good. And I could be done, or I schedule it. Right? I want to automate this process. And again, this was talking about next step. Apex data, it's just loading. Well, what do I want to automate it? What happens when I want control over it? Email notifications, right? All built in. So I could pick Rundle, right? Pick something that you built, or build a new one. We'll skip that for now. I have another option to make this an outbound message call, which in a second. Ability to notify specific people. There's always a global notification. Maybe this is a new one, a new task, and I'm going on holiday, and I want to notify Ernest only when there's failure, right, for the that I'm away. To do pre-commands and post-commands, and then some Salesforce specific. And just last week when I mentioned about the retailer I'm working with, that's how easy it was to pull in the bulk loader and monitor the jobs and the success file. That easy. All right, so it's beautiful ease of use. So look at this. Let me seal the text right there so I don't have to type it in again. That's on my list. We're going to create a view and go find it. And we'll call it our account load, and we'll just look for anything with webinar in it. Let's fire it off. So that's ground. One of the things I never like to leave a customer with is help. Have the account team, but have help built to the app itself. So if on support, you can literally open a ticket with Informatica support right from the application. Right, or your YouTube channel with a couple of hundred videos to show you what we're doing. Cloud community, right, for self-help and helping others. Online help, and then if you want to chat with a support specialist. Boom. And if we click into it, you know, they're very technical among us. Here's the activity log, so you can see the deep details of what SQL or SOQL was generated, how long it took to run, you know, all that good stuff. And if there was an error file, you'd see it here too. Then back to Salesforce, to our accounts. All right, we'll look at accounts now. One that came in from SAP, they don't have our little business rule applied to it, right? So you can see the difference. And to Burlington. Our business rule was applied, right? Our CloudTrigger, remember how ugly it was before? Now it looks good. all of our related information we loaded here. And now, the related data. But remember, I'm going to take advantage of bringing keys in and stuff. Well, I did. I applied them to a field. I gave it an attribute of external ID. This gives me the glue to bring together automatically, right? And as long as my next set of data has that key, I can relate it together dynamically using Informatica Cloud. And I've done that by just setting an Informatica Cloud task to run from a. Now this is going to call our REST API. So when I click Get Opportunities, that just and kicked off a real-time task. So navigate back to Cloud, and I'll go there. And am I ready? Right? Let's go back. Let's go to the log. It did. So it actually fired this off, and it pulled in, 30 rows in 8 seconds. Right? So if we go to Salesforce, look, you'll notice there's nothing here. Let me just refresh. All right, now I have opportunity. But the beautiful thing about this, go down, if I click in this, it's the same, right? Same with, but I called it a different way. And the glue, where we make a cloud, in the case of Salesforce, how we make it so easy to build these related ups. If this data previews, see carried forward with ID, all right? Whatever the customer might call it, my internal ID, my SID, I have on my which record it is, and then when I map them together, we make it simple. I just say, hey, click on the objects button. That opportunity is related to the account, but how? Right? There's different ways, right? I have a few IDs out there, but I populated this field where I need, and that's it, right? And then I just drag over, and while we do the automatic lookup, right? The lookups and link it together for you automatically. So simple stuff, like stuff made very simple.
So let me bring you in again on this, Ernest. I mean, how frequent the use cases you've seen from Mark are these the main use cases you guys see at CloudTrigger? Are there others as well that you would want to mention in this kind of an overview?
No, I didn't want to break Mark's flow, but as I was looking at that field mapping, I was sitting here cheering with my phone on mute. The social network is great. It allows us to communicate. The explosion of service-oriented architecture and the systems out there that we can pull data from in real time is great. But I'm a fashion kind of guy. I like my data to be clean. I like it to be well formatted so that it can be reported on and so that I can automate my processes. And the situation of combining multiple street names into a single address field or breaking up a record into multiple records, those are very, very common situations, especially when you're dealing with accounts and contacts and opportunities, which are core to any business's operation. The ability to do that in a drag-and-drop way that is documentable, that is reportable, is incredibly valuable.
So we've got a question from our friend Doug McLean, who you may know. He's mentioning they're seeing a lot of real-time lookups into things like inventory levels in SAP. Question for both Mark and for you, Ernest. Is that anything you can talk about how people solve that problem or the frequency of that problem?
So real-time inventory lookups, real-time credit status lookups, real-time payment status lookups are very, very common, especially in manufacturing and distribution companies where you want to be able to take a user's order, but you don't necessarily want to ship a product when they haven't, when they're not up to date on their payments and things like that. Inventory lookup, same type of situation. We want to be able to take the order, but we know that we can't immediately. And inventory, particularly, data changes on a per minute basis. When you're thinking about a call center with a 2-minute a call center with a 2-minute call cycle, making thousands of orders a day, you want to make sure that you have up-to-date inventory because that's going to help you make sure that you have satisfied customers. It's going to help you order new parts. It's going to help you make sure you're selling and upselling the right products so that you can keep your business profitable.
And Darren, perfect. I have a few minutes left, and I'll actually incorporate that in just a second. Example of that. I want to real quick, and we're going to use our. We'll just say this is going to be. I already have Ernest's name. We'll go steal it. Oh, I like Taylor. My name out here, so we're just going to steal that. And a contact. All right. Say now, I have a little button down here. So as soon as I save this, I have an outbound message set up. So a flow rule that says, hey, when a new record's created, and you check an Informatica Cloud task, and then to my back end. So I'll save in new. So it just kicked off an Informatica Cloud task just for that record. So if I go back to Cloud and give this a second, we should see the task pop up and we'll come back. It pops up. It's going to be listening for. Oh, I'm not in the right place. Maybe that's why. So there it is, sitting there waiting right now for records to come through. So let's go create one. This is going to be. Right, and we're going to sync it. And that. And then go back, and this will refresh, and we'll see the other row just came through. So that in real time got loaded to my ARM system, but the beauty of it is, let's go back into the monitor. The tweet just ran again. If I ask and re-edit it, it's the same 6-step wizard. Now, the only difference here is that it's Salesforce source, and my schedule, it says run this task in real time upon receive a message. And in Salesforce, all I need to do is create a rule, message trigger, and then paste in this URL, and then map fields. And that's it. And it uses the source, the signature. These are the fields that are going to be passed. Done in minutes. Beautiful. I mean, it's one of those so easy to do things.
That's really cool.
And what we just mentioned was the real time. So use cases come to us. Salesforce might be expensive to store all that data, and you don't want to store it. So you want to be able to pull some of that data in real time. So if we go back to Salesforce, and let's go back to our accounts, and let's pick our SAP accounts. Tech guy right here. And once this page comes in view, we'll see a couple of things. Tech, that's the first one. We'll see a mashup. Let it paint. And then down below, you see all the SAP information. But down below that, you see all the order information, right? The active orders from SAP. Well, but this calls to an Informatica web service to read to SAP dynamically and pull in the latest orders. And so the example of you want to store it in Salesforce because the data is too frequent, or I don't need it up there all the time. So here's another way to display that data to the customer. So I know just a few, but the very important demo. We have our data in Salesforce now, right? And to report on, to marry to other systems, for a variety of reasons, for how fast we can make it happen. Now, this will be the amazing 2-minute demo. So it's 1:54. I'm back to Informatica Cloud. I'm going to navigate to our data replication service and go to Toad. So here's a database tool. Now I'm going to reach my Toad. And in here, here's a list. Now the thing with ET underscore for CloudTrigger, right? You'll see all the tables. They're not in here. Watch Informatica Cloud make this happen. So replication, and we'll say this will be our webinar. We'll call it extract. Now, 5-step wizard, most folks just use step 2 and 5. Salesforce, the one I'm going to select some objects, count, because we loaded them the opportunity, and then because I know there's a lot of case objects in there, and that's where my tweets to. Tell it where to go. Make this go to Oracle. It's going to be CT. Now, It's typically 1, 2, and 5, as I mentioned. We're just going to do 1 and 2. I'm going to save a webinar, so it's going to be down below. And there's our line. We're going to fire that off. So what is it saying? Wait a second. You've never read before the data targets. So it's, okay, I know what Salesforce looks like. I go in Oracle. It looks just like the account object. Already, I know that. So going through each one of them. So the first time through, it will go create that metadata and then load records. All right, let's go look. So I'm going to refresh. And there are the tables. At the data, you'll see the data. And if we open this is the stuff we loaded. So back to Cloud, it's done already. We go to the log. You could just say it created and loaded over 1,000 rows in 30 seconds. That's cool stuff. And where it gets more powerful is go back to Salesforce, and let's go to one of our contacts, and let's just edit a contact. We'll edit Darren. We'll give Darren a title. So that. Now, in reality, the Informatica, the replicate task is going to be running on some frequency, and if we just go fire that off, when it runs, it's saying, "Wait a second, you ran already." The metadata. See if they changed the account object and added a new field or changed something. Oh, they did? Oh, go add that new column to the target database. Great. Back and get the changes since you ran. So not does it, just get this, but it also will modify the metadata because you can change on the Salesforce side pretty easily, right? Growing your business, so take that into account. So 3 or 4 or 5 clicks with typing a few things in, it really created the tables, it loaded data, and now it's going out there and looking to see if the data changed and changes in the data. Like all in a couple of clicks on DBA, right?
Hey, Mark, that's you did that so quickly, but we do have to wrap. So I want to just kind of conclude. So really what you showed here is you showed the ability to quickly get information in. You showed the ability to synchronize different systems with that Salesforce. So one gets that single view, that social enterprise kind of single view of customers, products, etc. And then you also showed how to get data out. So the relation service and being able to capture the changes in real time is pretty powerful.
Exactly. I'm going to give it back to you guys.
You want to wrap up because I want to point people to some resources and some next steps. Ernest, you talked about your the help check that you guys can provide. So I'm just going to go back to me as presenter, and I've got it. So let's just talk about that, Ernest. Tell us a bit more about next steps on that social enterprise help check.
Sure. Customers can go directly to that URL, www.cloudtrigger.com/about. Just drop us a line. You can use the communication form on that page, or you can send us an email. I don't know if our phone number was in there, but you could also a phone number and schedule that help check. And as I said, what we'll do is we'll set up a go-to-meeting appointment with you and just talk through how you are using data in your system, how you want to talk about your data. So how you engage with your customers, how you want your employees to communicate with each other about that information. And then what kind of systems is that data currently siloed in? Where should we put it so that you can have the most effective and most profitable conversations about that information?
Ernest, just a question on sort of a softball question for you, but what's been your experience in terms of adoption of Salesforce and overall ROI of the CRM and Force.com platform when integration is implemented early and often?
Mm-hmm. So early on, I pointed out that every project that we use requires some kind of integration. When the integration is planned properly, when it is staged properly, the overall adoption and the overall project is much more efficient. effective. That means you might not integrate immediately. You might integrate one system a month over time. You might integrate 5 systems all at once. You might integrate 4 systems now and 1 system later. But key to making sure that you have good adoption and is to make sure that you have the right data in the right place up on the right frequency. You want that to be viable, you want it to be clean, and you want it to be actionable. The key to ensure that your project succeeds is to have the right tools. You want to have a middleware system in place that allows you to have reliable, updated information, and to make sure that you've planned upfront for clean data, because nothing hurts adoption more than having clean or unreliable data.
Excellent. Great, strong finish. So let's just to remind people, if you're new to Informatica Cloud, you're seeing this for the first time, you can go to informaticacloud.com and you can get started today with a trial. You can start doing some of the things that Mark was doing yourself. We'd be happy to help you through it as well. So that's at informaticacloud.com. And key message is really don't wait to integrate. Get going, and we've got some great technology and a great partner here that can help you with your project plan and requirements. So just to leave people with contact information, you can also reach out to us directly. There's my email. This is Darren. You've got Ernest's information here and Mark. And you can certainly do your own tweets about Informatica Cloud. That'd be great at InfoCloud. With that, I'd like to just thank everyone for attending, and then thank our great speakers today, Ernest and Mark, for a fantastic overview.
Thanks.
This concludes today's webinar. We look forward to working with you.
Thanks for joining us today. This concludes today's web conference, and you may now disconnect. Have a good day.